Thank you so much. Hello everyone. My name is Eleanor Thomas, and I am currently the collections manager at Wimbledon Lawn Tennis Museum. I'm here to talk to you about the collecting we carried out at the Championships 2024. So, a very, very brief introduction to Wimbledon Lawn Tennis Museum, for those who may not know. The museum was established in 1977, and we sit within the All England Lawn Tennis Club, which hosts the championships or Wimbledon annually. So the museum is open year round, and we aim to collect, preserve, and display items that represent the history of the championships, the All England Lawn Tennis Club, and the history of lawn tennis. So the museum holds a collection of tennis equipment, ephemera, fine art and decorative arts, fashion, as well as having an extensive photography archive and library. So annually, we carry out contemporary collecting, and we have done so since 2000. And we actively collect items during the championships to represent that year's tournament. So through this collecting, we seek to help interpret, illustrate, and encourage audience engagement with the championships. So one of the fantastic things about sport is that at its core, it's unpredictable. Any outcome is possible, and therefore contemporary collecting, we feel, is the best way to capture these moments during the championships. So prior to each tournament, we set out a championships collecting strategy that outlines those key areas we would like to collect from. So these typically can include items associated with players who will win their events, or players who are currently sitting in the top 20 ranking that we actually don't hold an example of in our museum collection. We also will have a think about items that could represent significant stories for that year, both from players but also from fans. Sport also enters so many parts of society now, and thus objects collected every year will change to reflect the ways in which people, players, and spectators are interacting with the sport, and how they also use sport as a platform for these wider conversations. So, attaining these items requires a lot of close collaboration with colleagues across the organisation and also players. And during the tournament itself, there is a level of predicting and rapid response. So, for example, if a player actually does a lot better in the tournament than originally anticipated, we'll have to react quite quickly to do that, to collect items from them. For other items such as fan memorabilia or signage, we'll take a very much in the field approach where myself or members of the collections team will go out and actively speak to the public and visitors to the tournament. So focusing specifically on the Championships 2024, we had a really successful year of collecting, many of the highlights of which are already placed on display in the museum immediately after the Championships. And this is a really exciting part of our museum, as it gives guests who visit the ability to see items that were literally used or seen days before. And it's kind of a nice contemporary take on the Championships that can go alongside those more traditional and historic displays. So this year, we were successful in collecting items from the winners of the tournament. So, for example, our gentlemen's singles champion, Carlos Alcaraz, and our ladies singles champion, Barbora Krejcikova. We were able to collect their outfits, as well as many outfits that we had also outlined in our strategy prior to the championships. However, like each year, we also had to be reactive and collect items that represented key stories from that fortnight that were unexpected. So I pulled out a couple of examples to chat about today. So firstly, at the top, you can see the eye-catching Wilson dress worn by Marta Kostyuk. So this dress was actually a bespoke version of her wedding dress, and it went particularly viral on social media channels. So Kostyuk made this outfit in collaboration with Wilson, and it was based off the design of her wedding dress. And it's a really great example of a tennis player using their fashion to express their identity and their personal story on court. As well as this, the general election coincided with the championships, and this happened for the first time since 1895. So we collected the issue of the week that was published during that time, and on the front cover, it featured an illustration of Keir Starmer, and he's in this situation depicted serving for a game, but obviously it's sort of depicting him serving for the election. And this item is really great because it enables us to place the championships in a wider context, as it shows the kind of political kind of standing of the country at that time. And then next to that, we collected the outfit worn by qualifier Lulu Sun, and she was the first woman from New Zealand to reach the quarterfinals of the championships. So this was an item that we did actually have to really react to, as Sun was not listed in our original kind of top 20 rankings of female players, and thus her success in the tournament and her history making was something that we really needed to make sure we documented. And then finally, we collected the used tennis balls from Andy Murray's final match played at Wimbledon. So Murray's retirement, while always a possibility, was not confirmed until that day. And we were given a slight heads up as to this retirement, but again, we really found out quite last minute. So we were able to collect the tennis balls from this game. However, we unfortunately have not been able to collect his kit nor his brother's kit from this game yet. So that's something that we're really kind of hoping that we will be able to acquire to capture that story in future. And then finally, sort of looking at another area that we were developing this year, and this is our risk matrix. So this was actually inspired by the last Contemporary Collecting Conference, and we thought we would trial a risk matrix when collecting items. This is still very much a work in progress, but it's designed to give guidance when collecting material from the championships that we think could pose a risk. So items that we see that could be seen as a risk are broadly considered items that, if placed on display, or if the public are made aware of them having been collected, could cause damage to the museum's reputation, bring the All England Lawn Tennis Club into disrepute, or put colleagues in our heritage team or museum experience team in harm's way. So impartial decision making, as we all know, is really important, and we were hoping that through this matrix it can be carried out when collecting items. So colleagues will be able to maintain neutrality of the museum when collecting, but can also take into consideration the wider stance of the organisation. We also make sure to reiterate that in no circumstance that the museum should seek out and collect items that represent ideologies that could incite hate and violence. Obviously, the year that we implement this, we didn't really use it so much, but as the sports world sort of grows and is used more and more as a platform by players and spectators to sort of share wider discourse on socio-economic conversations, I'm sure that what we collect will begin to reflect this, and we'll use this matrix a lot more frequently. So thank you very much for listening, everyone.